Hello, this video is about the idea of a skilled coachee or a skilled mentee, and it's part one. Part two of this video is actually an annotated example of what skilled actually means. So it's an analysis of an observed conversation. So let's have a quick think about some of this. There's a prevailing discourse about coaching and mentoring, very often in books and papers, which sees or positions the coach and the mentor as the process expert. And what they do is they also say that the coaches or the mentees' issues are absolutely central to the conversation. And the coachee or the mentee is seen as resourceful, but lacking in the skills to realize their full potential. When the coachee or mentee skills are addressed, they are seen as an output of the coaching and mentoring process rather than an input to it. Now, that's a very interesting position to take. So as a result of coaching or mentoring, the coachee and mentee become more skilled, as opposed to them having skills already and they are putting that into the process. So this is based on research. The overall findings are that there are conversational strategies conceptualized as two sorts of behaviors that are found in the coachees and the mentees. So one is enabling and the other is defensive. So the enabling functions is that the coachee or the mentee contribute to the process and facilitate progress towards the desired position, outcome, or purpose of the mentoring or coaching. The defensive behaviors are also functional behaviors, and they are designed for the coachee and mentee to help kind of protect them, to help stop them becoming too vulnerable within the coaching relationship, and perhaps also for them to be able to extend the relationship a little longer because they are obviously getting value from it. If we were to look at what the literature says about coaching and mentoring, so the prevailing discourses in the literature, and we look at the data that came from this research, we see that one of the main discourses that we find in the literature is that the coach's or the mentor's methodology tends to drive the process. But the data analysis from the research shows that the coachee and the mentee influence and sometimes actually drive the methodology. So the coach or mentor may not be doing that, contrary to what is written. Another issue is that the coachee or mentee mainly provide the content and the issues. That's very commonly said. They provide the content, the coach or the mentor provides the process. But actually the data analysis shows that the coachee or the mentee not only provide the content and the issues, but they also enable the process. They make it more or less possible for the coach or the mentor to do their work. Often as well that the coachee or the mentee skills are seen as an output from the coaching, as I mentioned earlier, as opposed to an input. But the data analysis shows that the coachee or the mentee uses the process skills of understanding the coaching and mentoring process, frames the conversations and reframes their thinking as inputs to deepen and enable the process to continue. So they provide a kind of sustaining input into the process. It's not an outcome or an output that the coach or the mentor has magically enabled. Also in the literature, the coachee or the mentee can deliberately resist the coach or the mentor, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, which is often construed as having a negative impact on the coaching or mentoring relationship. This is what it says in the literature. However, the data from this research suggests that the coachee or the mentee can consciously as well as unconsciously resist, yes, they can indeed resist the coach or mentor by deflecting and engaging in self-judgment, which militate against depth and speed in the coaching mentoring process. But it also keeps the process going, so they may be doing it to sustain the relationship. So what are these skills that are found in this research? So one is framing the conversation. So the coachee or the mentor is quite capable and able to set the path and the scope of the conversation and iteratively develop where the conversation is going by what they say. They have a choice, they have agency. They understand the process of what's happening to them whilst they're being coached or mentored. It's not some kind of magic process that's only owned by the mentor or the coach. It's shared, and they can make the thing happen for their own personal development, and they are aware of the implications. They can reframe their thinking as a result. Now, that is something to do with them, not something to do with the coach or the mentor, although the literature claims that the mentor's magically done that. But it's by engaging in the conversation, the metaphors, by experimenting, practicing, thinking about it, bringing their own values and emotions into the conversations, which enables them to rethink things. They can deflect, so they can distance oneself from the topics, and they can keep their emotions to themselves, and they can maintain that or abstract what's going on. And they might divert by using humour or self-deprecation, or they may shut down that conversation or choose actually not to go there, change the subject. So in conclusion, the research suggests that the coaching and mentoring is a skilled collaborative process, a skilled collaborative partnership, that the defensiveness is not necessarily dysfunctional. It can be actually useful in maintaining the relationship and enabling the coachee or mentee to protect themselves. So the implications are clear. There are implications for the education and development of coachees as well as mentors, as well as for the coachees and mentees, because being aware can be helpful. And it's a recognition that the mentees and the coachees make a contribution to the developmental process that they are engaged in. And there are implications here for schemes and for professional bodies. So the future direction for coaches, being aware is important that these enabling and defensive skills are present. Coaches and mentors need to be aware of how persistent they are in their challenges. They need to consider the idea that the coachee or the mentee is skilled when they contract. That defensive behaviour enables the coachee and the mentee to persist with the conversation and relationship. It has a sustainable function. Coaches and mentors can rely on their coachees and mentees to take responsibility for making the conversation and the relationship work. And often, the coachees and the mentees have a good understanding of the process, the tools, the techniques, and the language that goes with it, and they can make use of it as well. And coaches and mentors can be more confident of challenging their coachees and mentees to work with the process, with the theories, in the conversation by making them explicit to help them achieve their goals. So it's key to remember that coachees and mentees are active participants and not recipients, that they can influence the outcome, they have agencies, and development in advance for coachees and mentees is pretty important. For academics, this research needs to be continued and developed to inform how coachee-mentor development can go. For professional bodies, they have vested interest in preserving the status quo, very much so, power bases. So claims that the coachee or the mentee is skilled potentially equalizes the relationship and disrupts the professional body's narrative as to why they exist and why they're needed. The codes of ethics and conduct do not extend to coachees and mentees, and coaches and mentors may need new skills, and the current competence frameworks that are promulgated by the professional bodies are inadequate. They cannot help with this understanding because they don't even mention it. Thank you for listening. Do look at video 2 because you will see a live example that's annotated.